And welcome to episode 19 of the Martial Arts Podcast. I am your host, Grandmaster Jonathan Field of Cooburg Taekwondo, and we have a special guest, one of my fourth degree black belt master students, international competitor, mother of two, instructor of our special needs program, Master Abby Sue Elder. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. This is great.
So I think this is your first time doing the podcast, I believe.
Yes, definitely.
No, we'll have some fun. So let's just, like I always tell, like most of my guests, we're gonna kind of just go with the flow. We're gonna kind of talk about your personal martial arts story from the start till now, and everything else that we kind of throw at it. So you started with my original instructor, or I guess our original instructor, way back in the day at Cooburg Taekwondo. So can you kind of tell us how and why you started?
Yeah. So I didn't really know much at all about martial arts. It was actually a friend of mine that got into it. We did everything together. So she was my best friend, and it was actually her that got interested in it. At the time, my parents didn't want to put out the money for me to join because I'd been jumping around to so many different sports. So they thought it was just a fad. So my friend joined and I went, and I actually watched her do classes for about a year before my mom and dad were finally like, okay, yeah, we can sign you up. And then once I started doing classes, I loved it ever since. Yeah. I took a little bit of a break when I turned 13. We were able to move up into the adult classes. And so my friend and I, we moved up to the adult classes, and that kind of discouraged me because we were started to spar adults. I wasn't really a big fan of that, and I had to request if I wanted to get grading, if I wanted to get stripes. And just I was 13, 14, started high school, had other things going on, so I stopped going to Taekwondo then, and then came back in my 20s.
I always say you guys stopped going when I came. It was funny how you, Serena, who you're talking about, Mantelina, and a couple other ones that came back. It's funny how they all left when I came out. Kind of funny actually.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So while also you had the passion for it, you sat there for like a year and watched. I guess that is the difference between you and Serena when you guys came back. There was about a 1 year difference in belt level. So you originally achieved blue belt with red stripe, and then you, am I correct on that, or was it blue belt?
Yeah, blue belt with red stripe.
Yep. So you came back to after you guys initially started back with our fitness kickboxing program because you were getting ready for your wedding.
Yep. Yeah, that's what got us back into it.
And then you kind of migrated into the taekwondo. So, but again, like so now you're saying when you originally went to the adult class way back when, and you had to have the responsibility of yourself asking for strength, asking for grading. So where you felt that maybe the children's program or the junior program kind of looked after you a little bit better, but then the adult program was kind of
Yeah,
free fall, maybe.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so we
Like,
definitely do things a little bit different, 20, 30 years uh, difference here. Now, no, your journey wasn't when you came back though. It wasn't a quick journey to black. You kind of had some time off here and there. Had a couple. I think you had your first child just before when you got what red was what? Yeah, you were red and you tested for red was black when you were with your first child.
yeah. Yeah, I was
Mhm.
about 3.5 months pregnant. I thought I could go for my black that June, and Sarah was born in June, and grading I think was like June 20th. But I quickly realized, I think it was about January, that that wasn't going to happen, and stepped down from the cycle, which was probably the greatest decision and gift in Taekwondo that I think I was given, because I had that whole extra year to practice before getting going for the black belt. And it was great, like after having Sarah, getting back into the gym, getting active again, it was very helpful. And yeah, and having that whole extra year doing patterns and going over the curriculum, it was great.
Yeah, no, I think that's extremely important. I think a lot of our red with black belt, red with black stripe students kind of fall in that category where, like I tell them, like, just if you just miss that current black belt cycle, you have that one extra year to get that much better and that much more confident in the skills and curriculum and improve upon what you need to improve upon before entering that cycle. I think that's I think a lot of people wanna just bam 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 chop it out, get it all done and over with. But martial arts is one of those things where if you're in for the martial art, there's never no end or getting over it. There's always something to work towards. Now you kind of went through that twice where you had your second child and it kind of delayed one of your was it your second degree or your first
Yeah,
degree testing?
yeah, second degree.
Mhm. But
Same,
like that
but
was
yeah,
kind of
great.
interesting because that kind of put you in the same testing cycle as your training partner, Master Al. You two do a lot of your training together. Like a lot of students tend to find out one partner in martial arts that they can lean on. So that was kind of, I think that was kind of a blessing in disguise, I would say.
Yes, absolutely. Having that partner to train with, to motivate, especially when you're at the same level because you're working on the same stuff. It's, yeah, lots of fun together over the years.
Yeah, and some people are really lucky to achieve that. Some people not so much. But I think in our school we have a lot of good training partners that kind of we're all on the same page. That's an important part too. When you're training with a partner, you all have to be on the same page. Like, you know, this is what the training objective is for today, or what this drill, or whatever it is, or our 3 month cycle, or belt cycle, or whatever we're working on. Even competing together, you got to be on the same page. And if you're not on the same page, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
So so you've done with me you've done black belt, first degree, second, third, and fourth done in Taekwondo. Uh, you're currently out of black belt cycle, even though I think you and Master Al never really exit the training mentality. You guys kinda I think since like third degree, you just kinda stuck in there and just kept up your intensity level or pretty near intensity where some people try to take these little mini break in between degrees where they I don't want to say slack off, but they kind of back off a little bit, and then they kind of go back hard when they go into the cycle. And then you and Master Al kind of kept, maybe 10% less than what you normally would for training, but you kind of kept it up the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it a lot easier. And yeah, we just feed off of each other, motivate each other, push each other. So there doesn't need to be a belt on the line for us to do that. And then when there is the belt, there's just even that much more motivation, much more drive. So it worked out well.
I would almost say it makes the belt when you are testing for your next rank belt, makes that actually more like a bonus more than the objectives. Like right, training is our main objective, getting rank or acknowledgement or achievement is actually secondary. We're actually focused on the results of the training of that particular day or whatever it is.
Exactly. And now when we have like 4 or 5 year gaps between training, you have to have that mentality or
For
else.
sure, yeah. I was talking to a couple black belts dinner last Friday actually, and they were saying that because they're not in a black belt testing cycle, their motivation is not, like they're finding it harder to get themselves to class because there's nothing for them. Like they are the type of person that needs to have that tangible goal, which is fine. Everybody's different. I keep myself so busy that again belts or whatever what I do different belts and different martial arts. Again, the belts themselves are more of a bonus. It's the knowledge and training I gain that really the thing I'm looking for. So now I know so yeah, so you've been out for 3 years. one more year. Well, I guess the next black belt cycle will be your next one for fifth degree black belt. So you've been a fourth degree for 3 years now. But let's talk through the journey of the different black belts here. So here we have our showdown black, which is a plain black belt before you go for first, second, third, fourth degree, etc. So if you remember kind of what was going through your mind and whatnot when you're going for that first black belt, what was kind of your mentality and so forth?
When I was going for that black belt, it was all status. It was all wanting to get that black belt because I had started when I was 11, 12. And when you start then, your goal is black belt. Just like I'm sure like almost all Taekwondo students, when you start, your first goal is black belt. So at that time, that's what it was all about. It was about meeting that mark. Not that I wanted to say I was a black belt. It was more about this was the status that was my goal. That's where I wanted to get. So that's what it was all about. And then, yes, that's definitely progressed over the years. Now it's more about refining the technique. And the craziest thing is it's always going back to basics. So even though we're going for fourth, we're going for fifth degree, it's still the roundhouse kicks. It's the side kicks. It's perfecting the low blocks and the middle blocks. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's true to most people that stick around. Like black belt is, yeah, most people don't understand beyond black what the first, second degree, third degree. Some people don't even understand or even know those things exist. But yeah, it's all about getting that first black. And some people they get that first black and then they quit. For whatever reason, they just quit. It's like to me, it doesn't make sense. Like getting a driver's license and never using it. But now, yeah, now going from black to first degree, so you went through one black belt cycle. Now you're going through a second black belt cycle and a second black belt test. What was the methodology behind going from black to first degree?
As soon as I had gotten my black, my next goal was masters. I knew. So first degree was just another step in the way to getting up to masters. But first degree was a really fun journey because that was the year that we had Team Wolverine, that I joined Team Wolverine. And that was the year that we went to Florida. And it was a struggle because I'd gone back to work. I'd been off work for a year because I had had Sarah. So this was the first year that I was back to work. We were doing Team Wolverine. We were doing Saturday morning practices for that, a couple hours, plus doing all the stuff for the first degree black belt cycle. So it was a busy year, but it was a fun year. There was a great group of people that graded with and trained with and went to Florida with.
Okay, so that's really important right there. So you're extremely busy, and you're going to have go back to work. You have a 1 year old child. You have Team Wolverine, which is like the most competitive 2 hours every Saturday from like January until July. Really competing. You have the black belt testing cycle that went from September to June, plus black belt testing, pre-testing. So you had all this stuff going on. What did you learn from that? How that being that busy, what was it that you learned that you were maybe able to carry that forward to other black hole testing, training, your life in general?
I know that I am a happier person, a better person when I am going to classes and doing Taekwondo. I'm even a better mom because I'm less stressed. I take it all out at the gym. And then I also know from doing 10-hour gradings that I can handle a lot, that you can push through and persevere, and that at the end, that you get to reap the rewards. So hard work gets big rewards.
Oh,
And
for sure, yeah. In fact, I think everybody that knows me personally knows that I'm nonstop busy, and actually, me and Cheryl and I were discussing that yesterday, where it's good to be busy when you're not stressed. Like, if you can figure out how, if I can be busy but not have to deal with that stress side of things, or at least be able to manage that stress. So, perfect example, like you just said, going to class for most of us, getting that training in, that's what kills the stress. We're able to just the stress out on bed, or spar, even though we're not trying to hurt each other, but just that energy output, getting bag, paddle, just pushing yourself to that limit where, okay, that I don't have that energy to be stressed anymore. Then you got the endorphins that are going through your body when you're going through it. And I think I always found that sometimes it's weird where the busier you get, the more stuff you can actually achieve versus sometimes when people are like less busy, they don't get stuff done. It's weird how that is. Where sometimes, yeah, because a lot of times people have an excuse of I'm just too busy to get stuff done. But are you really, or are you just not knowing how to manage yourself properly? Like for me, most people know I'm always writing all my stuff out, like check them all. So if it's on my calendar, it's gonna get done. So, but no, that's extremely important, especially for if there's any parents or potential parents on here, or people that just struggle or have problems juggling everything in their life. You can do it if you want to do something. You can find a way to do it. If you really don't want to do something, you'll find a way not to do it or put something or put an obstacle in your way.
Exactly. Yeah. I picked jobs, I picked careers to be able to work around my schedule so I can go to Taekwondo. And that's just been a big focus in my life. Like when I was in the restaurant, I was able to go to day classes, work at night. I could take the Saturday day class and go work 3 to 11. And then when you're home with your kids, you're 100% focused when you're with the kids. And that's how I make sure that time with my kids, it's valuable time. It's not about the number of hours that you're with them. It's about the quality of the time that you're with them. And
Exactly. I was just gonna say that. So yeah. So when you're in Taekwondo or in martial arts, you're focusing just on that. When you're
yeah,
at work, that's your main focus. When you're at home with your family, now you have that ability to focus just on them. Again, you're right. Again, it's not necessarily the quantity of time, but the quality is more important. If you only have a half an hour, you damn well make sure that half an hour is the best quality you can, for sure. Now, so that was funny how you said now when you said when you went from black to first degree, you're already saying, okay, I'm already going for my master.
yeah,
I mean that's like first, second, third degree I have to go through to get to my master's at fourth degree. So what was it? What was it that made you go, okay, I want my master. I got my black. I'm kind of mentally bypassing first, second, third for
yeah.
saying, 'cause my goal was on fourth degree master. What was it about master to you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I love the arts, and masters to me shows the dedication to it. It shows that you're putting in the time, and it shows the dedication and the progression of sticking with the art. So that's I loved it, and it was just honestly I think the belt was just a bonus. So having that masters just kept me in it even longer and kept me keep going. Um, but yeah, that was a big part of it. And I'm still, I don't think I'll ever stop. But people have asked me before, are you still in Taekwondo? And it's like, yes. When you get to a certain point, you know you're a lifer, if it
Hmm.
makes sense. Even if I'm not at the gym, or even if for something happened and I wasn't going to class, I still have that mentality. It's in my blood now.
Yeah, there's that. I think people that do achieve, that really achieve master's degrees, well, yeah, they are lifers. They understand what martial arts does to you. But you said you loved it. So what is it? It might be one thing, it might be a couple things, but what is it about martial arts that
It's
you have that passion for?
yeah. To start with, we always have fun when we're training. We're working hard. We're laughing. We're getting the endorphins. Um, we're learning self-defense, which like how much better can it get? You're having fun, you're laughing, you're getting your endorphins, plus you're learning self-defense. So I've been lucky enough to not ever have to use it, but if I ever do, it's there. um, but it's it's almost like meditative when you're in class, because you have to focus on class so you're not thinking about anything else. So it's like it's just that de-stress, unwind, laugh with some buddies, have a good time, and building muscle. And yeah, that's pretty much, I just love all of that. And why Taekwondo? I like how it's different every day. One day we could be doing our arms, one day we could be doing our legs. there's just so many different things: patterns, breaking, kicking, so many different things to focus on, flexibility, mobility. It hits everything.
And I would almost, I almost want to say that the martial arts, besides the self defense aspect and the art itself, for most people, has also become fitness with a purpose. So, like a lot of people will just go to a gym and they have gym membership, right? Like the Good Life or Anytime Fitness or 24-hour Fitness or uh, Planet Fitness, all these other chains are out there, and they just go and they want to be fit. Maybe that's their purpose per se, but they don't really have a purpose. They don't really have a goal. They don't really have something they're really working on unless they are very disciplined or they got maybe a fitness competition goal or something along that line or something along there. But no, martial arts is like it's built right into martial arts that yeah you're gonna get fit, but there's a purpose behind everything. Like everything we do, whether we're training for our conditioning, whether we're training for self defense, whether we're training for food set or pattern, sparring, uh, Hanban, one step sparring, our weapons training when we do grappling, whatever, there is a purpose behind everything. I think having a purpose behind everything that we do just makes it that much more powerful and it makes you that much committed to yourself to going through the process of learning it.
Yeah. And that's another thing that we didn't even talk about, weapons, but that's like a whole nother aspect of Taekwondo that you get to play around with. It's, yeah, so much variety there.
Yeah, I know something like at our school, World Taekwondo, which most people know that as the Olympic Taekwondo, and most schools are working the Pumse, maybe one step foreign, and Olympic Taekwondo sparring. So you have maybe three areas that most people practice where again we're doing our Pumse, our sparring, different types of sparring. We got our one step, we have our different combative self defense. We have our Superfoot kickboxing curriculum with Grandmaster Phil Wallen. We have our different weapons. We have so many different styles of self defense depending on what cycle of our black belt training we're doing. There's a lot to it. I think my master, Grandmaster Veronica DeSanto, once told me, and actually we have Master Sean Luke on here watching right now. Grandmaster Veronica DeSanto told me, so I don't want you to become a master of Taekwondo. I want you to be a master of the martial art. So Taekwondo is our base art. That's
Yeah.
where we started. That's what we train with the most. But it's also important to pull from those inner styles. And I also find that like each individual student likes certain things from each style. I mean, not necessarily like everything we're doing all the time, but they're pulling and really studying what they really do like. Some people are liking the Superfoot stuff a little bit more. Some people prefer the Filipino martial art Cali stick stuff a little bit more. Some people prefer the traditional weapons. Some people like the more like the modern extreme or musical weapon stuff. But everybody can kind of customize and make the martial art their own, even though we're all studying Taekwondo, we have that ability to truly make each one of us an individual martial artist.
Yeah.
So now, like you brought up earlier, when you went for your first degree black belt, you became a competitive ranker on Team Wolverine, and Team Wolverine was one of the top competition teams in the world there for quite a few years before the pandemic happened in 2020. But what was it that made you go, okay, well, for first and let's go compete in Florida at the biggest martial arts tournament in the world, the U.S. Open tonight. Well, what was it? Add that.
Sorry, it's cutting out or freezing there a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, sometimes it does that. Okay, so like I was saying, so yeah, when you're going for your first degree black belt, you also join Team Wolverine, which is
Yes.
one of the best competition teams in the world there for a while before the pandemic. What made you decide that okay, let's join Team Wolverine, let's compete in Florida at the U.S. Open ISK World Championship, which is one of the biggest tournaments in the world for open martial art? What was it that made you go, yeah, let's add that to the plate?
That's a good question. Well, I like to compete. So this in like your school, to compete was board breaking. So and then it just complemented each other so well because those Saturday morning 2 hour Team Wolverine practices, the first hour or so was physical fitness. So not only was I was training for Team Wolverine, but it also was helping me train for my first degree black belt. And with with the gradings that we do, there is breaking involved. So it complemented each other, and I like to compete, and I got to learn a lot from a really great group of people about breaking, yourself and everybody else that was on the team. So yeah, they worked well together, and that was definitely the foundation for breaking. And I learned a lot about form and about how to stack. And at that time, it was only wood. I don't think I got into concrete until my fourth degree. But yeah.
Yeah, like I said, when you go down to the U.S. Open, so I mean, I don't know, if for people that, so there's a lot of people on here that didn't compete locally. That's how I started, was, competing in a small Shihi tournament, then competing in a local small tournament, then you kind of get a little bit bigger, local tournament, provincial, national, different international tournament. But I said U.S. Open, the ISK World is one of the biggest ones. It's, back in the day, it was on ESPN. It was on the Canadian the sports what was it? What's the sports channel? What's it called? The sports. What's our sports channel? Not ESPN. It was the sports network or whatever it was that we had up here. So it was viewed all over the world. Now they have like a lot of competition on Friday and Saturday. They're streamed on various websites like ESPN and different other websites. But what was the experience like going to this massive tournament? I mean, literally the main competition room is like 2 acres,
Yeah.
and it had something like 40 plus rings and 40 to 50 different countries represented all at one time.
Yeah, it was massive, and there was a lot of skilled martial artists there, and like you said, so many different things going on. So you got weapons, you've got patterns, you've got sparring, and then kind of when you got back to our spot where the board breaking was, when you were in that zone, it was board breaking. You could just focus on what your event was, and I was very fortunate because you had started your tournaments prior to me going to Florida. So I got to have that experience where we were at the Port Hope Rec Center. So we did some breaking there before the Florida tournament. But yeah, it was pretty impressive to be down there. And then I think, were you on the, I'm not sure if that was the year you were on the stage, but I got to see it.
I've been on stage quite a bit.
But I think you were,
Was I competing or was I performing?
I'm not sure.
All right, the year that you went down, do you remember who was down? Who went down? I
With
had 5 6 years that were like they're a big team,
Yeah,
so we went down.
Eric was with us. The Smelt family was with us. Todd and Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
Michaela.
Jimmy there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
2014. So yeah, I would have competed on a Saturday during the day in the ISK World. Okay, that's 2014. So I that was then now Charlotte was there too, right? Was Charlotte there? Or was that 2015?
Can't remember if Charlotte was there or not.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if that was the year that I went against Larry Field and Nick Stanley we had semifinals and finals. It doesn't matter, but no, yeah, at least on the Saturday night, yes, it was Michaela, Jimmy, and I were asked to perform in a demonstration for the night champion on ESPN. Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to you. So you did my tournament, and that was the first year I did my tournament. Yeah, that was the first year that I held our tournament that we have, our international tournament for breaking, and we obviously have expanded into almost everything since then. But yeah, so I remember you specifically No, that's when you first broke concrete. That you broke concrete at that my tournament because you hit the heel stomp and you said it hurt your heel because you only had a couple stacked up and you actually hit the concrete underneath like the floor.
Yes.
I remember that, and then you competed in creative board breaking because then you took that routine, took it down to the U.S. Opens.
Yes. Yeah, I really challenged myself with that routine because you had the bed of nails, and you worked with me, and eventually I was able to stand on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and added that into the routine. And yes, I do remember hitting the concrete with the stack. So I always tell anybody who's new to concrete, especially if you're doing the heel stomp, to like not just do two, start with 3 or 4, so you got something to absorb it, or make sure you're a bit off the ground, so you're because it was just all my force went right into the ground very quickly, and it came right back up into my foot.
Yeah, well, that's two things right there. So that's the funny thing. People don't realize concrete is hard when you hit it and it doesn't break. But when you hit concrete and it breaks, and it's even if you don't break the ball and it stops you, it almost feels like a pillow, which is
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, it is.
Sometimes wood hurts more than concrete, which is number one. And then that was the first part I was gonna say about that. And then number two, you just said about how when you hit the ground, that force comes back at you. So most people say you'll hear it all the time online. Oh, Bristol hit back. Well, actually they do. In fact, when you don't break them, it will actually hit you at twice more that you hit it. So if you're I'm gonna randomly hit like let's say you hit the stack with 1,000 pounds of pressure and it stops dead on one of the bricks or one of the board. And again, if it was 1,000 pounds, that sucker hits you back at 2,000 pounds of pressure. So there's a lot of pressure that the competitive break is for sure. Um, yeah. Do you remember what places that you took at that tournament? Like what? I can't remember. Too many
In
people to
Florida,
remember.
or at the one you hosted.
At the U.S. Open.
I got, I think, got 2 or 3 seconds because I did a couple events.
Well,
I got third in creative.
yeah, I mean, people don't realize when you go down to U.S. Open, just to place in top 3 to 4 is phenomenal. It's like literally the best competitor in everything from like point sparring, continuous sparring, to various different breaking, power breaking, wood, concrete, high jump, creative wood, creative open, as going on with breaking. And then we also have like they have like sports MMA now. They have padded sword fighting. They got traditional self defense. They have now they have like movie choreographing fight scene event, which is really cool. Weapons, traditional, creative, musical. Same with uh, form. You have like an open form, traditional form, creative form, extreme. You have like a lot of tournaments are now having the Korean challenges. There's a real lot of cool stuff that happens in the open martial arts circuit compared to traditional circuit where it's just Taekwondo or just karate or just jiu-jitsu, which is fine if that's what you want to do. We've always kind of had the mentality of competing in the open circuit because you get to compete against Taekwondo, karate, Kung Fu, Kung Tao, and Temple, and you name it. We get to go against all these different styles, which is really cool because, as you know, like a lot of our friends in the martial art, our friends with Cooburg Taekwondo are all different styles of martial art. So we're able to bring them in and learn from them.
Yeah.
So now you said earlier that you love competing. So what is it? What number one? What is it about competing that you love about competing? And then number two, what are some of your favorite events?
So competing just it really gives you that goal to train towards. So it's like putting purpose to your training. So I think that's what I really like about it. Just more motivation to train harder. When I'm competing, most of the time it's not about the person that I'm competing against, especially with our breaking. It's I have my numbers in my head. This is what I broke last time, and I'm hoping to do a little bit better than last time. But that's what I like about competing, is just more focus and on the training. And then, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question was, what's some of the events that what are some of the favorite events that you competed in and why?
Yeah, team sync is fun. Again, it's because of the training, because I have a great training partner, Master Al, and I. So we always have fun training, and we'll go do our team syncs, and sometimes we do great, and sometimes we don't do so great, but it's just the fun of being there and competing. For solo events, I like to do breaking. I've gotten more into concrete than wood, because I find wood, your technique has to be perfect in wood. If you move the tiniest bit, the stack will slide, your power doesn't go straight into it. So I guess it does have that good side of it, that you have to have perfect technique when you're going against wood, whereas concrete's a little bit more forgiving. If it doesn't move, your force goes right into it. So I kind of like that with the concrete.
That's a really good point about concrete versus wood. I think it's helpful. They are two different beasts. Like I wouldn't say one is necessarily easier or harder than the other. Yeah, I guess typically maybe you might feel like break more wood on average than concrete, obviously. So, but at the same time, they're not the same material. I know. It's hard to say if somebody's more of a competitive wood breaker and somebody else is more of a competitive concrete breaker, who's actually the better breaker, because of, again, different materials, different techniques involved, different strategy. If you want to take myself and Larry Fields with an S, no relation, I'm definitely a better elbow guy on the wood, whereas Larry is virtually undefeated, except for the on time, in power concrete. So him and I mean, he would beat me every time in concrete, but most of the time I'm going to beat him every time in wood, even though he probably got 70 or 80 pounds on me.
Yeah.
It's incredible just to see the difference in the material. Um, yeah, and then you mentioned team sync. So sometimes you do team sync traditional form, sometimes you do team sync nunchuck form, which you and Master Al were doing earlier this morning before class, and then you were focusing on that on Wednesday morning. And obviously you guys specialize in doing the chuck. I think it was last year, did you guys did the katana last year, right, with the Toyama rule? So between the two weapons though, even though you're pretty proficient in both, what of the two weapons, which do you prefer to compete in? What nunchuck or the katana, and why?
Definitely the nunchucks, probably because I've been doing it longer. So when I was pregnant, I spent a lot of time with nunchucks because it was something safe that I could do while I was training. But I like having a weapon in each hand. There's like the wrist rolls with nunchucks. It's a little bit flashier. Um, I guess I would say in like a self-defense situation, I'm probably not going to find a pair of nunchucks to help me. The katana it's got more use out maybe possibly in life, but for performing and playing around, I like the chucks. To me, there's a lot more I can do with them. How about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a chucker, right? Everybody knows me. I mean, I love working with all different weapons because they all have value for different reasons. Some more for self-defense, some more just from sheer joy. Not be the most practical weapon in today's society, but I would prefer like a Kali stick or a shima stick or any, whatever you want to call it, or a short knife or something like that, or a futon. Those tend to be a little more practical, but they're not as flashy. Nunchucks are probably one of the hardest weapons to learn because of the nature of the spinning, and they're a flexible weapon. So any flexible weapon, which is way harder to control than any fixed weapon like a bow staff, Kali stick, katana, or a kill staff, or anything along that line. Um, like I said, you're constantly competing. Now, I know with the competitive ranking, yourself and one of our other master instructors, Master Selena Logan, you two, for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or so, since 2019, when we had that black belt challenge, you two kind of seem to be going back and forth. It's like a lot of times it's a matter of who has the better seating, therefore can play better strategy sometimes. You guys are pretty close back and forth. Sometimes she wins, sometimes you win. She's won a couple, maybe a little bit higher up championship. But last year, uh, you won the Ultimate Breaker for the female division in the International Sectoral Championship, and we had a good representation, like 5 or 6 girls who really brought it in the breaking. And Grandmaster Nick Stanford said he was really proud of the girls and how he thought that our tournament was a really good step in promoting female breaking. Because there's not a lot of representation sometimes in some tournaments, so these girls were definitely you know were represented. But yeah, I think you end up winning 2 of the 4 events. Maybe getting what second in the other two, and then I think and you end up winning the Ultimate Breaker. So you end up walking away with 3 championship belts.
Yeah, yeah, that was a big tournament. And yeah, like you said, the best part is the turnout. Like all the women that are now coming out to those events. Like I think when we did the concrete elbow, there was maybe 5 of us, 4 or
Mm-hmm.
5.
Yep.
And there was also the wood event too that even had a couple more ladies as well. Like it's so great to see all of us there, and their level is getting so much greater too. Like at this next tournament, there's going to be quite a few of us that are going to be fighting for it, and it's great. We cheer each other on, we help each other, we give each other tips, and yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that's another thing about the beauty of martial arts. Competitors are always helping each other for the most part. Like we're like, hey, try this next time, try this next time. I'll hang on for you, you hang on for me. Or if somebody beat you, you can go up to them and say, hey, like, what did you catch me with there? Or whether it's a foreign division, a grappling division, or rankings. Like, hey, what are you doing that nobody else seems to be doing? There's a lot of sharing, which is awesome, which helps progress any martial arts sport or any division when we all can say, you know what, at the end of the day, we all personally want to win, but also at the end of the day, if we are going to win, we want to go against the best competitors. Therefore, we're going to help elevate you, because if we elevate you, you're going to elevate us. That's the beauty of it as well. But no, yeah, like last year, just to see some of the women try concrete for the first time, and and then do some half season numbers. Like unfortunately, sometimes some of the ranking tournament can almost seem like a boys' club, with what Grandmaster Nick Stanford from Florida said. Sometimes it feels like it's a boys' club, but no, when the girls come out and play, they really bring it. Sometimes the girls' number sometimes are really close to some of the guys' numbers, which is kind of cool to see that as well. It just shows that women are capable of generating the same type of force that a male competitor can if they put in the effort and learn the technique properly. And yeah, it's really cool.
The big part of it, like you say, there's a lot of technique to it, right? You got to know how to get your hip into it and get your body into it, and you got to drive it. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing with again competitive ranking. I've seen over the years where a lot of times lightweight numbers are sometimes I've seen lightweight numbers are maybe just 1 or 2 less than the heavyweight number. I've seen where the lightweight and the heavyweight are tied, and I've personally had it where I've beaten some of the heavyweight numbers of some of the heavyweight competitors. Um, and again, for me, most of the time I'm sitting at 145 when I'm competing. Back well, really competing. Now I'm a little bit heavier, but like for a 145-pound man to be able to outrank guys that are 220, 230, 240 pounds, there's a lot of techniques that have to be involved. There's
Yeah.
definitely not as much strength, definitely not as much weight, because what size does play a factor. If anything else is all equal, but yeah, technique is what helps you generate speed. And we all know when speed is what helps you truly progress in power. When somebody, and we've seen competitors, both male and female, where they naturally had a certain amount of power, and that was part of it because of their strength, part of it was just because of their size, but they never really progressed too much because they weren't able to develop the technique or the speed because they were relying too much on their natural gift that they already had, versus maybe smaller competitors or competitors that aren't as gifted had to actually learn to develop their technique. And I think they get more out of the sport than the ones that are just naturally good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think of the side kicking, like with the speed. A lot of that. Yeah. There's a lot happening doing the side kicking, the concrete or the wood machine. Yeah, you got to perfect it, and then you got to speed it up and get the power into it, right? To be able to drive through.
You also have to say what I always said, you gotta slow it down too. If you want it to come fast, you gotta slow the technique down, allow it to happen. Don't force anything to happen. Now also I mentioned in the first of the podcast here was you also uh part-time teach our special needs class or our community living class that we have twice a month here, which you and Master Al were kind of alternating for a while. I think were teaching it for a long time by yourself and Master Al was. It's been a bunch of different variations of that. But yeah, so like I said, tell us a little bit about your experience with teaching our special needs students that we've had for
Yeah.
16, 17, 18 years now, really.
Yeah. So I just love seeing how much they love it. When they come in, they're just smiling. They're asking how your day is, what are you up to, and just throughout the entire workout, like everything is fun for them, and it just brings back the fun. So and it's a little bit of a challenge because there's a lot of different abilities. So like some can't kick, they just don't have the balance, right? So managing the class can be a little bit tough that way, but they all give it their all, which is incredible. And it's just a lot of laughs and it's a lot of fun with that group. And then they love competing, so they love breaking the boards, coming to your events and doing the speed breaking. It's a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, I would say I don't teach that class, even though I'm kind of the administrator of that class. But I basically get the same thing out of like teaching the 3 and 4 year old, which for some people, a lot of people don't want to teach children of that young age. I think because it's a big challenge. There's a lot of different personalities in a 3 to 4 year old. Like we had 10 or 11 in yesterday. We had like 17 in on Wednesday. And and you got different level of skills. So some have really good balance, like you said. Some people don't. There's so many different, and when you have the 3 to 4 year old, there's so many different skill level and mentalities, and those children are highly volatile. Where they can be happy 1 second and suddenly fly across the room the next second and run to their parents and come back out, or if they want to go to the washroom, they just run out or whatever. Like they're very highly volatile, but it is fun. You kind of have a I'm gonna say you're gonna have a little bit lower expectation,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you're there to help them do their best with a lower expectation, as long as they're happy and they're achieving what they want to achieve. And as long as you kind of have fun with it, it becomes a very stress-free class to teach, for sure. And like I said, you can just sit back and enjoy what you're doing, which is kind of cool. Versus sometimes teaching other classes where you have to have higher expectations that can be a little bit stressful sometimes. But yeah, no, you and Master Al have been doing that for quite a while. Before that, it was Jeff Worrell that was teaching it for a while. I think he had the second longest, and then before that, we had one of my other black belt students, Sanama. She was the one that we originally started that program. And then we started like 17, 18, maybe
That's,
19 years ago.
that's been going on for a long time then.
Yeah, well, they said, well, like some of the students we had, like Brayden,
Yeah.
he's been with it since day one. Jordy, um, there's a few, Michael.
Yeah.
There's been like there's probably about 5 or 6 of them that have stuck with us for the entirety of the program. And like I said, we start in September, we go through June, they take every July and August off, and they have different summer activities that they do. They come back and we always do belt testing once a year with them because they're always here. Most of them are always here. If they're here every month or every class, they get maybe 20 classes in a cycle before they test. We have a slightly different belt curriculum that we make sure that every year is different for them, and as long as they're progressing in their skill level, we're happy. Um, yeah, it's a fun class. Like I said, I'm not the instructor by any means. I'm just the administrator looking after ordering the belts and make sure scheduling and whatnot. But you and Master Al do a fantastic job at doing that. Yeah, I know they all appreciate you guys for doing what you do for them, and the parent or the relative of those students really appreciate what you guys do. Um,
Thank you,
yeah,
sir.
now fifth degree. So now you know what? I can just talk about two more things real quick. So in the last few years, we added the Superfoot kickboxing curriculum with Superfoot Grandmaster Superfoot Bill Wallace, undefeated middleweight PKA world champion kickboxing from like the 70s, late 70s to the early 80s. You and a few other ones tested for first degree a couple years ago, and then tested for second degree in the Superfoot system. Can you maybe describe a little bit of that compared to describe that compared to what we already been doing with Taekwondo? So what was the difference and what was the kind of the benefits that you received by adding that curriculum?
The biggest difference is the side stance. So instead of being straight on, you're completely side. And then all the lead leg stuff, lead like the jab and the lead leg kicks. The Superfoot system, the nice thing about it, it's all basic punches, basic kicks. So you got your round, your side, your hook, your jab, cross, hook for your punches. So you were able to just to focus on just the basics and then just keeping that side, that small profile was huge for sparring because now you're not a big target, right? So that was the biggest difference between the two. During that period, just the last, when did you write your sparring book? Maybe 2-3 years ago?
I wrote that book a few years back. So I had already tested for my first degree in the Superfoot system. So it was maybe a few months after that, I had already been kind of writing it, and then going through that testing cycle kind of gave me some more ideas for that book. So I took some of the Superfoot concept and added it to the book. So so then I got my second degree. So between my first and second degree, I had published that book because Grandmaster Bill Wallace actually endorsed it. So he actually there's on the thing, the back cover, there's a little endorsement from him. And then uh I think you guys were already I think we had already started the cycle, and we just started you guys on your first degree when I just finished up my second degree with them.
So sometime during the book that you wrote, reading the book, learning that, and learning the Superfoot system, I started to really like sparring. Prior to that, sparring was just another part of Taekwondo. I liked the physical fitness part of it, but I never treated it like a game until I learned about Superfoot and until I read your book. And now when I spar, it's all about tapping the person and sneaking in and hitting those spots. And so that's and like setting it up, right? It's more like chess. It's more a game.
Yeah, exactly. I think sparring should be looked at as it's a game. It's gamified. And it's not fighting. I mean, it has attributes that you can carry over to physical fighting and self defense. But at the end of the day, sparring has rules and it has different strategies that you can utilize to score points. That's all you're doing is trying to score points. And it's a game. Like last night, we had 11 of us in sparring last night. It was a game. I literally just threw different strategies at you. Hands only, feet only, uh, front side only, punching and front side open, punching and back line or rear line kicking. Some of the other ones. I think we did like 8 or 9 different ones, right? And it forced you to explore different strategy. And if every round just became a game at that point, everybody was just playing around. And and when you're playing around, it lets you be a little bit freer. It allows you to maybe do techniques that you never would before.
Mhm.
Okay, now, yeah, so Superfoot system, and then, what's the last thing I was going to mention? Oh, going for, you're coming up on, you'll be starting in, September of 2025. You'll be starting the next black hole cycle for fifth degree. So, what are some of the goals, besides the physical fifth degree, like, what are some of the goals that maybe you're going to try to work toward during that cycle?
So something that I've always been working on is my flexibility. So, but I'm like really, really, really focused on that right now. Um, so that's a big part of it. And then like I don't know what happened around masters, but it's always been coming back to the basics and just making them the best they can be. So even like the other day when we had that one-on-one with patterns, like just the low blocks, the middle blocks, like just that form and tightening it, everything up. That's my focus for the fifth degree is the basics. Working on the kick is still to get my hip to actually bring it around nice. Doing those side kicks where your leg is fully extended and having the snap. So that's, yeah, working on flexibility and just tightening up the basics.
I think that's one of the everybody's dreams to me. I mean, the curriculum is a no-brainer. You're gonna be learning new curriculum every time. But yeah, it's just readjusting everything every time, make sure everything's nice and clean. How can I improve my basics? At the end of the day, martial art mastery is nothing more than mastering the fundamentals. You become a master in the fundamentals. To me, I know for myself, I know things that truly possible to truly master everything in martial arts at a super high level, but we certainly can focus on at least becoming masters of fundamental. So whether you're wearing a physical black belt or you're not wearing a black belt, put a white belt back on you, which we've done before, or you're out somewhere and you're training martial arts in a park, somebody can say, "Wow, that looks like a black belt," right? That's an important aspect. Mr. Without a black belt on, you look like a black belt. Well, we're basically coming up on that hour. It was fantastic talking with you today. We talked earlier all in class, but yeah, and then I'm assuming you'll be in black belt training tomorrow, like both Saturday, Master Abby, Master Al, and a bunch of other black belt. We're constantly training every Saturday morning. We get up at 7:30. While we're here at 7:30, we do an hour and a half of training both Saturdays throughout the year when we're in or out of black hole cycles, and again, it's an ever nonstop training. We're always training. We're always focusing on getting better. But again, I want to thank you for spending the last hour with us.
Thank you for having me. That was excellent. And thank you for starting this podcast. I've gone back and I've listened to a few of the people that you've already interviewed, and it's just such a great way to share all of these different journeys that everybody has within this art. It's great.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. That's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast was to have these conversations so that everybody can share their story and their journeys. And hopefully, other people that are not in martial arts or need a little bit of help, being re-inspired that these journeys can help and inspire other people to, continue with martial arts or start martial arts and make their life better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so have a great day.
You too.